Okay. Hello. My phone died, so now we're back. This is actually kind of better anyway. Now I'm on my iPad and it's, I don't know, the lighting's not so great, but it's like more zoomed in for you guys. Come on, light. I need a zip tie. Maybe right here. Okay, I'm zip tying this light so it's better. Welcome back. Laura, I'm stoked to see where your painting is. I can't wait to see how you're doing. Okay. The lighting's alright. It's gonna have to do. So, anyway, hello again. Thanks for watching, guys. We've got a little bit left in this painting. We're getting to the fun parts. So, I am just going to grab the black paint that I had, and I've got blue mixed into it now. And I'm going to use a medium flat brush. And now instead of the really dark black, I've got a new version. So I like to do several versions of colors within a field of them, and that way you get some variation. It's kind of hard to see. It's like a blue black now, and you don't want to cover up all of this purple and pink that's showing through, but maybe you don't want as much showing through. So now I'm taking this color and I'm kind of just adding another variation of black while covering up a little bit of these, especially down in the corners. Something like this. Alright, and you can always add more and more layers. I'm going to stop with that on this painting for these trees right now, because I want to move back to the sky. Okay, and again, you just kind of want baby little marks down here to look like trees. What else was I going to do? I didn't really like the shape of this U, so maybe I'll have a teeny little tree come up here to break that up. So just use your eye and your gut here. You want to go for interesting shapes. Really helps to stand away from your painting or look at it horizontally. Remember that we want things overlapping. We want things spaced out in a way where they're not super equal all the time. Something like this. Alright, now rinse your brush. Aw, thanks, Kate. It's been too long. So, rinse your guys' brushes. And then I'm going to come back in and we're going to introduce a little bit of blues and we're going to decide what we want to do on the sky. Laura, will you take a picture of your painting and send it to me in the private message? I want to see where you're at before I make a decision on what you and I do with the sky. Alright, we're rinsing brushes and we'll be right back. Okay. So for those of you just tuning in, my phone died, so this is the second video of it. The first video should have saved, and basically I started by priming the canvas orange. I then sketched in where my big shapes were going to be. I did an underpainting using magenta. So I did an underpainting using warm colors to get my shapes and values figured out. Then I made a really light yellow to start where the light source is, which is the sun that has just set. And I started adding little bits of orange to work my way up. A lot of the orange in the sky though is still just the background color. So you can see the benefits of using an orange background instead of a stark white canvas. It also lets me make value relationships easier, so I can decide if something's darker or lighter because I started with a middle orange. So that's my little trick. Then after that we laid in the mountains using 3 different tones, the darkest toward us, then we lightened it for the middle, and then we did the lightest mountains in the distance because there's a lot of atmosphere between us and these really far away mountains. We made interesting shapes, and then we came in here with purples and blacks and blues and made a silhouette of the trees, and they kind of go down a hill, so we just did little marks all the way right there. I'm just trying to decide if I actually want to go like night scene with this, like the other example I was showing, or if I want to keep it kind of a more orange sunset. So yeah, Miss Laura is painting along with me. I think what we'll do, we're gonna do a little bit of the blue. Okay, so we worked our way up with yellow and oranges and pinks, and now we're gonna work our way down. And the reason we can't do all of that at once is because if you have wet blue paint and wet yellow paint, blue and yellow makes green, and we don't want green in here. So we're working our way up, letting it dry, and working our way down. Okay, so I'm feeling good about this. I like the little bits of orange popping through up there. And now I'm gonna add a little bit of the dark night sky. So we basically worked this way, and now we're gonna work this way, if that makes any sense. All right, so if you're painting along with me, we're gonna want to dip into our blue. I'm gonna go with cobalt blue, and I'm gonna mix up some cobalt blue and some magenta to get it a little darker. And I'm gonna add white. Be careful with adding white though, because everything will be super pastel if it's in everything. Whoops. Wait, here we go, there we go. All right, so I added a little bit of white, not too much, and a little bit of water so the paint moves a little more freely. And this part's a little scary, but I'm going for this, something like this. So I've worked up, and now I'm gonna work down. I know that I want the upper edge to be saturated with blue, and I know that I'm gonna be wrapping that around the edge. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more white because we need to remember that the sky is the lightest part of the painting. And again, I don't want to cover everything up, but definitely the orange. I don't think the orange and the blue are going to be mixing so much. It's going to be more of these pink colors. So I am going to go ahead and cover up a good amount of the orange. And whenever I get to where the pinks are, I can start making it a little bit more whimsical with brush strokes. Okay, and I had already put a little bit of this blue in, so it becomes a map for me. And I can just let little traces of this pink pop through. If you do want to put clouds in, just remember they're going to get skinnier toward the bottom. You want to have this sense that the sky keeps going too, so you know, you don't want to close all the shapes on the edge. Make sure when you're painting that you don't have any weird spots in the middle like this. I kind of like that shape, but it's kind of weird. So it's only in the middle. Maybe I can extend an edge of it or something. And then I'm going to add a little bit more white and a little bit more magenta to come down into here and maybe go back up into here. So you get this gradual blend. You can mix on the, blend a little bit on the canvas. Just be sure that as you work, you're not getting any weird mark right in the middle. See that dark thing? That's gonna make my eye go there, so I gotta get rid of that. And you can get really fun here with your paintbrush and like do twirling things and get texture up in your sky if you want. You can make it a perfect, clean, very like smooth gradient if you want. I kind of like the idea of putting in some cloud shapes, which I like to scribble in instead of make them like kindergarten clouds. If you make them weird shapes, it's just more interesting. Remember, the sun's back here, so if there are clouds, they also might be backlit. So I can also add a bunch of white and try to make like edges of these clouds. And then as they get closer to the horizon, they're gonna be skinnier. You don't want them to all be the same size, and you don't want them to all be the same shape. You also don't want them to each be an inch apart. So it's up to you how you want to do it. I'm gonna make them like medium sized in this area so I can really push the perspective and have some baby clouds back here. Real thin clouds in the distance. But see, my brain wants them to all be like a centimeter apart. So I just gotta like be aware of that. If you have them down where the trees are, make sure they go behind the trees. I really also like to darken the edges of my paintings. So later I'll probably go in and make that a little darker. If you guys are tuning in, Billy Strings is playing at 9 Ohio time, 6 California time, which is after this. Highly recommend it. He's the best. Okay. I'm wrapping this color around the edge. Wrapping it around this edge. I'm coming in here, making some backlit clouds. If you see weird blemishes on your canvas, let the painting tell you where to go. Right here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's like this teeny little dot right there. So it's like, oh, where am I going to put a cloud? Right there. Boom. Covered it up. You can negatively paint your trees as well, which means if you're painting behind your trees, you're actually editing the shape of your tree. If you want to get crazy with it. Remember, we can always go back on top of the trees as well. So if you don't want to paint around it, you can always paint over your tree. Just be careful, the black might not be dried yet. Okay, and then I talked earlier about utilizing a color through all three layers, being background, middle ground, foreground. So I'm going to use this to, maybe I'll make this the color of my faraway mountain. You know, I can also be like, hey, you know, I don't like that swoop right there. I want it to read more like King's Peak, which is in the distance where I live. So maybe I do a point like King's Peak. See, I just changed the whole thing. I'm going to push it over as to make it not right in the middle. Alright, now I'm going to use that color on my brush, and without going back in that pile, I'm going to just use the white on my brush. Make another color here. Maybe now I'm getting some variation in my second mountain here, and I don't have to cover the whole thing, especially if you want some texture in there. It's up to you how vivid you want it. You know, that was pretty vivid what I just did. Maybe I do want more white. I'm allowing a little bit of the orange background to be between those two. You don't have to do that. It's up to you. But I do not like this shape. So I think this edge needs to be a little more interesting. So I'm just gonna get a smaller brush. You ready? And then this is sketch, but I'm gonna take a tiny bit of the black I used on the trees and add it to this blue, along with some magenta, and just try to get a darker version. Still needs to be darker. Remember, by overlapping these mountains, you start to get that distant feel. And then down in here, it's going to be dark because the light is not going to be hitting that area. So I might as well just take my black and make more little trees. Bring this valley up a little bit. Step away from your painting. See if there's too many little holes of this purple and pink stuff coming through. If there is, now's the time to fill some in. You know, you want some popping through, but too many just looks kind of weird. Alright, I'm feeling pretty good on that. I think that, hey Brenda, thanks, missing you. I'm liking the shape of things. I'm going to come in with a really small brush now and some more of this black blue mixture, and where I just changed my mountains, I'm just going to have it make a little more sense. And you can take, if you really want like harsh black in there, now you can take just black, because the side closest to you, like the part of the tree closest to you, is going to be the darkest. It's backlit. So if you do want a little bit of that real dark black in there for contrast, you can add it. And on the corners, again, by darkening the corners, it makes your eye kind of have to come into the middle of the painting. So that's another reason that I'm about to do this last thing. before I embellish it with the moon. And that is, I'm going to take Ultramarine Blue. I actually have this fluid acrylic version of it, which I really like for this sort of thing because I'm mainly going to be doing like a glazing for the end here. And I'm using Ultramarine Blue. And not everybody has this, but order it if you do like acrylics because you get more interesting layering techniques. This helps you thin your paint down into a transparent paint and also acts as a varnish. So if you don't have this, that's okay. You can just use water to thin your paint down. I'm using a new brush, and I'm just adding a little bit of ultramarine to this clear gloss medium. Again, if you don't have that at home, just use water. And I like to darken the corners. Now, I don't want it to be like an oval, but if you guys think about like your Instagram pictures and when you do a vignette, when you darken the edges of the paint of the piece, that's to bring your eye into the center. So I just want to make the corners of my sky a little bit darker. And that'll help with this gradient too, because now we go from dark down into there. So I know I can paint the top edge. It's best if your other blues are dry. Get the corners. And then just work this darker blue down, kind of blend it in. Whoops, my paint's not fully dry. Okay, now that you've got this other blue introduced, you can also have it be somewhere in the rest of your painting by making like real minute little touches to something like this close mountain, or having another little bit of blue in here, having it help darken these corners. Having it help with these teeny trees fading down into the other hills. Okay, and then from this point, like, you've got all the hard stuff done. It's really about just teeny little bits for final touches, editing things, standing back, looking at it and saying, okay, does that make sense? What needs fixed? The hardest thing for me is overworking pieces. So if you're unsure and you want to come back to it, do. Another thing that I struggle with is finishing pieces. So now that I'm getting more comfortable with painting, I want to try to finish pieces, you know, in one setting, which is totally impossible for me right now. It feels like it's not actually impossible, but just the amount of layering that I do in my normal work. If you can sit and finish a piece in like one setting, then you're doing it while you're in one headspace. There's times I come back to paintings and I'm like, oh great, I'm in the mood to paint. This is gonna be great. I like this painting. I like where it's going. And then I work on it and I'm in a totally different mood. I accidentally use different colors, and just all of the harmony of the painting just totally goes away. So I'm feeling good about this one. If you do want to add some stars up into your dark part here, you can use white, or I really like to use this iridescent paint. It plays with the light and it's super fun. You can do stars by covering up where you don't want stars, mixing up a white that's kind of like a fluid white, and then flicking. If you want to go crazy like that, feel free. when you do that, don't flick this part, it really hurts. You want to just flick the bristles. So you want to find a brush that's got plenty of bristle space for the flicking. And the other way that you could do it is by just getting a really small brush and dabbing your stars in. If you do that method though, be really careful because again, your brain is going to want to space all of them out perfectly. So maybe I'll do an example with the flicking method. Let's get some white paint. Just a teeny bit. Some water. And I'm going to add this sparkly paint because I like it. And let's see, I need a new plate so you guys can see this. Okay, so you want to have enough water that it's, I don't know, that the paint's moving, but it's not like super runny. And then get you a brush that's got a lot of bristles like this. You're going to want to cover up, Fabletics. You're going to want to cover parts of your painting that you do not want to get covered. And you would just flick like that. And then if you don't like all of them in there, you can, you know, just go in with a dry, clean brush and get rid of them. You could always do another layer of paint, like with the blues if you want. And then for the moon, you want to just get a really teeny little brush. Pick which phase of the moon you want your moon in. And this is where your focal points come into play again too. You don't want your moon dead center unless you want to go for something like that, which is totally cool. But I like to push things off into thirds and, you know, kind of bring your eye through the painting. So sometimes I'll cut out a little moon and move it around until I find the spot. I know that there's a mathematical sweet spot to paintings as well, and it's going to be right about there. So I've got my white paint. Oops. A really teeny little brush. And I'm going to come in here. And I'm just going to make a little tiny moon. Okay, so there we go. That is my little demo for the day. Maybe I'll do these weekly. If you guys have any feedback or have specific questions, especially about materials, message me. I'd be happy to help you figure out materials. I know Michael's, I believe they're doing like curbside pickup, so I could help you figure out what you need, and then you can just go pick it up. Ooh, whoops. So yeah, thanks for joining me. If you have painted with me today and you feel like adding a little bit more to your painting, you know, this is all the hard parts here, and now you can embellish it with more detail. You can come in here and do even more dark for a contrast in your sky. You want to make sure things dry, and you also want to make sure things are clean. I accidentally just put a big glob of orange in my sky. And I'm darkening it a bit more so the stars would actually be popping. Like I said, it's so easy to overwork stuff, so just be gentle on yourself and your painting. Alright, so just make sure you sign it. Send me a picture if you want some help with how to fix some parts of your painting. And yeah, I hope everybody has a good quarantine evening. Stay safe. Please take quarantining seriously. Stay sanitized. And yeah, if you like are really struggling and need to talk to somebody, give me a ring. If you have kids and you don't know what to do to keep them busy and you want some ideas for art stuff, I'm happy to send you some links to YouTube videos, or, you know, we can just message about some projects involving art for kids. Yeah, I'm just painting away when I can, working and painting. So, happy to help everybody who wants help with art. I'm here as your resource. Okay, enjoy your night. Billy Strings is about to stream live from his living room, so tune in. Love you guys. Bye.